Well, Mississippi State heads to College Station. Can the Bulldogs slow down the Aggies' offense and contain their playmakers? We've got the matchups, the keys, and the players to watch.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. My name is Jaron, Spor, I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We got our preview episode for you today. We'll, of course, preview the offense and defense of Texas A&M, give you some names to watch, and as you prepare to watch the game on Saturday, we'll also give our game predictions and next up in Starkville. So, Landon, let's start with the offensive side of the ball. What are you expecting from the Aggies?
So when I was looking through their stats, doing a little box score scouting, one thing that jumped out with Le'Veon Moss is the amount of yards he has lost on this season. Do you know how many yards he's lost this season? One.
That probably checks out because he's been incredible this year.
When you have run as much as he has, 54 carries at 5.7 yards per carry, you only lose 1 yard. That means he's doing something. He's making the right read, and that offensive line is doing their job.
Yeah, no, it is. And he's been one of the best running backs in the SEC the last couple of years. Obviously got injured last year and is coming back this year. He's been excellent, and he's really fueled that rushing attack that averages just under 170 yards a game. They also average about 2 touchdowns per game on the ground. He has, 307 yards, 5 touchdowns, but they get a lot of contributions from several places.
Yes.
Ruben Owens, the backup running back, 134 yards on 7.4 yards per carry.
Only 2 yards lost on the year for him.
Yeah, right. And Marcel Reed obviously contributes to the run game as the quarterback, 119 yards and 1 touchdown for him as well. But I've been most impressed, and we talked about this yesterday, me and Matt from Locked On the Aggies, about Marcel Reed passing the ball has been very impressive. Obviously, if you look at his completion percentage, 60.3 is not eye-popping, but 1,076 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We saw against Notre Dame him just put on a very clutch performance in that game because, again, if you look at his completion percentage in that game, it's not eye-popping because he went 17 of 37, but he hit a lot of big plays, 360 yards, 2 touchdowns, had the 1 pick, but led him on that game-winning drive and capped it off with a touchdown pass.
Yeah, that's been what's been most impressive about this offense because when Reed took over last year, we saw he could run. He led that game against LSU. It was essentially all on the ground. I think he threw under 10 passes that game. Yeah. And that was the question going into this season was, could he actually become a quarterback and not a running back who kind of threw a little bit? Mm-hmm. And we're seeing him become a quarterback. Yeah. There's still, like you mentioned, over 60% completion isn't crazy. The Notre Dame game, that completion percentage is awful. And 2 picks is not great given their competition that they played, but it's not terrible. You'd almost want someone to be perfectly clean. And then they had the backup through 1 pick as well. So they have 3 picks on the year. Right. But he's played really well. And it goes to those receivers making some dynamic plays when he gets the ball in their hands.
Yeah, and there's a reason why a lot of people are calling them a sleeper in the SEC. And we're coming into the last week. Obviously, being ranked number 6 in the country this week, you're no longer a sleeper. People know about you. But it made a lot of sense coming into last week why people thought that. And we'll see if they bounce back because they had their worst offensive performance last week against Auburn where they only scored 16 points. So before that, they scored 40 in every game. And so we'll see if they are able to overcome that. Also, and we talked about them earlier this week, but I truly believe the best wide receiver duo Mississippi State will face all season is in this game with Mario Craver and KC Concepcion. And this is going to sound very simple, and it's not. But if you can limit one of them, you'll have a very good chance to win the game because Marcel Reed has completed 44 passes to those two players. He's completed 73 passes on the year. So more than half of his completions go to those two players. The next highest in completions is 8.
Yeah.
And that guy has 97 yards. He's the third highest in receiving yards. So 477 for Craver, 340 for Concepcion, 4 touchdowns for Craver, 3 for Concepcion, and then you have 3 between 3 other players. Like those two are the guys that are going to often.
Yeah, the third leading receiver has like half as many yards as Craver had in the Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
Like it's 2 guys in this rushing attack, which it almost makes it sound like it's not easy to stop, but it's an easy like game plan. Like you lock up one of them, load the box, make one guy beat you. Well, when you have guys who are as explosive as these two, sometimes one guy can beat you, especially when the quarterback can run like Reed can. So It's not as simple. Like you said, I hate saying it's simple. It's not simple because of how explosive they all are, especially when you factor in how solid and veteran this O-line is. Like if this was some very young O-line without a lot of experience, maybe you could confuse them, get some cheap plays that way. But this offensive line has played a lot of football. They're very good at run blocking. They're solid at pass blocking. And when they let someone through, Reed can escape. And they either he takes off for a big gain or hits one of these, 2 receivers for a big play, because both of them are very fast, very explosive, and it's hard to contain someone like that on a long play if you get Reed scrambling around back there.
Yeah, and they're not overly big players. I mean, Craver is 5'9", 165. He is small, but Concepcion is 5'11", like 190 or something like that. So he's not massive either. So you're probably going to have to try to get physical with them, but they're both very fast. They're very crafty. They know how to get open. They know where the sweet spots on zones are. Like they just play the receiver position how you would want your receiver to play, because they are very smart. They know how to utilize their skills and they know how to avoid their weaknesses. And that's the key, because some receivers try to do everything, even though they know they're not great at something. These two guys don't do that. They know that they're not 6'5" and win stuff that way. Although when they high point the ball, you might think they're 6'5" because they can go up and make some plays. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about this offense if you're a Texas A&M fan, especially like I said, the way Reed is playing, the way the running back room has been playing, the way the 2 receivers have been playing. You mentioned the offensive line. Like there's some things to like. But I will say this: I don't think it's the best offense we will see this year. I don't think it's better than last week's Tennessee offense, and that was a very good offense. I think it's a good offense, but I don't think it's a great offense.
I think they do what they do great, but if you can slow it down, take away, make it funky, get their timing off. I mean, we saw last week against Auburn, like, not that it's easy to slow them down, but this is an offense that if they get a little out of rhythm, it can kind of get a little wonky, a little funky, a little ugly, and they have to grind it out. And they're kind of not built for that. When you have slightly undersized receivers and a very good, but very good running game, you're not really built to just grind out wins and still pull away. That game was in question almost the whole time. So if you can kind of throw off the rhythm, throw a wrench in their plans, like that's the path to success.
Well, and if you can shut down their run game like you did Tennessee last week, which I think Tennessee has a better run game than A&M, that's the key to success again, because I was more confident that Aguilar could beat them through the air even if they stopped the run than I am that Reed can do it. And Reed is much improved, but I think Reed still struggles with some things. And so I think if you can make him beat you, and if he goes out and throws a party on you like he did against Notre Dame in terms of yardage, so be it. But that's who I would make beat me. Against Auburn, they kind of shot themselves in the foot. They had great yardage, 414 yards. Ironically, they had 207 on the ground and 207 in the air. But they had 13 penalties for 119 yards. I mean, they constantly beat themselves, and that's something that Mississippi State's been doing to themselves. It was better last week, and so let them beat themselves in this one.
Right, gotta let them beat themselves and make the quarterback play quarterback. It seems like it's been a really long time since A&M has had a quarterback that you're legitimately scared of actually like playing quarterback. They keep having these guys who it's like, no, just keep them in the pocket and let them throw. Like, let's see what happens. And that's kind of where you are with this. Like, don't let Reed extend the play. Don't let him beat you with his legs. Don't let him just get the ball out real quick to these receivers. And you have to play sound. That's really on the defensive side. You got to play sound.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll look at what A&M does well defensively. That's coming up next. Well, this episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is, I'm going to just overall talk about the defense against Tennessee, because people will look at it, see the 41 points. 2 of those touchdowns was on the offense, on those turnovers. They held a really good Tennessee team to 27 points, a really good running team to 131 yards rushing. I was just very impressed by the defense, because while we expect the offense to take the big step, the defense really showed some things in this game that make you believe that what they've shown up to this point hasn't been a fluke just because of the teams they've played. So I was really impressed with the defense, and I'm going to give them the moving the game forward presented by Mazda award for this week. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. And it's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Mississippi State, I'm going with Fluff Bothwell. He delivered in a massive way. He had over 100 yards rushing, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5.8 yards per carry. There wasn't a single moment that just stood out. It was just anytime it looked like, oh, he's going to lose yards or he's going to get tackled for no gain, he was able to get some kind of positive yardage out of that. And that's what adds up over time, even if it's 2 or 3 yards. But he was also able to bust some runs and did a lot of really good things. But that shouldn't be a surprise, because he always comes through, no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, he is on an absolute streak. So just like Fluff Bothwell delivered for Mississippi State, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, the defensive side of the ball, what's kind of sticking out to you for the Aggies?
One name jumped out big time, Cassius Howe.
Mm-hmm.
4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and a pass breakup. Those are numbers through, this point in the season. That's a defensive end that can wreck a game plan. When you have that many sacks, that many tackles for loss, and then on top of that, he also has 9 solo tackles. So, I mean, he is just a game wrecker right now for them.
Yeah, I think the TFLs in general stood out to me, because you obviously mentioned the 5 by Howe, but Damian Sanford 3, Torian York has 3, Scooby Williams has 3, which he was listed as questionable. DJ Hicks has 3, Marcus Ratcliffe has 3. So just as a whole, they seem to be getting in the backfield and making plays.
Yeah, that front 7 is very good. I mean, they have 14 sacks and 32 tackles for loss. You're hitting, was that 46 plays in the backfield at this point in the season? That is a lot of negative plays to overcome from an offense. So controlling this line of scrimmage is going to be huge. I mean, we talked about how good Tennessee's defensive line and their defensive, front 7 was. This might be better. This is the week that we're going to see how far this offensive line has come. I mean, it's obviously improved. We know it's improved, but how much has it improved? And if you can kind of keep these guys at bay and give Fluff and Booth some running room, let Shapen hold the ball, which if he holds the ball like he did last week against Tennessee, their sack numbers are going to get inflated.
Yeah, it won't go well at all. Texas A&M's had a really weird defensive year this season up to this point, because if you go back and look at their first game against UTSA, they got lit up on the ground. UTSA had 203 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. Just had their way, and they allowed 24 points in that game. Then they followed that up against Utah State. But they were better defensively, held them to only 250 yards, but Utah State still had 22 points in that game. And then obviously there's the Notre Dame game. We know Notre Dame's going to be a really good football team, or at least looks like that. But Notre Dame put up 40 points and had over 400 yards of offense. And CJ Carr had a field day throwing the ball, 293 yards for him on the day. But they did shut down the run pretty well. Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, they averaged over 4 yards a carry. They had 3 touchdowns combined, but neither one went over 100 yards. So overall, I think you'd be satisfied at least on how they stopped the run. And then they are coming off their most dominant performance. We talked about how the offense is coming off their biggest struggle. The defense is coming off the most dominant performance, and that was allowing 52 yards rushing to Auburn, who has a really good rushing offense, and then 125 yards passing. So only held them to only 177 yards in this last game.
That's some video game numbers where you're playing on freshman difficulty on NCAA football there. The other thing that jumped out to me, like with how many tackles for loss, how many sacks, how many QB hits this team has, they only have 1 interception.
Yeah.
And it's Scooby Williams. It's not even, not a corner. It's
who again is questionable this week.
And he also has their 1 forced fumble on the year. So that's kind of interesting that they are not taking the ball away more. You think when you're in the backfield that much, you just kind of equate that with turnovers, because you're either hitting the quarterback and they're dropping it, it's flying up in the air, is rushing a throw, something like that. So I don't know what to make of that, really. I don't know if it's just kind of, it just hadn't happened yet. Or if it's these defensive backs don't have ball skills. I would say they probably do have some, maybe not great, but odds are they can catch a football, but it's kind of weird that they only have the 1 interception to this point.
I think, honestly, Mississippi State can have a lot of success offensively. I think they're going to be able to run the football. It's going to come down, can shape and connect on those deep balls, and not just connect by throwing a good ball, but you also have to catch the ball, because, Brennan Thompson dropped the big one this last game. It does appear Brennan will play. He was at least listed as probable. Gillette was also listed as probable. Isaac Smith and Albert Reese are still listed as questionable. So those are the big question marks, and those are massive question marks, because Reese has been having a great season, and then we know what kind of player Isaac Smith is defensively. Hopefully both of them will give it a go and can, at least be close to their former selves. But I seriously think Mississippi State can have a lot of success.
I do too. As good as this defensive front is, when you have that many tackles for loss, that many sacks, that many quarterback hits, it means you're very aggressive up front, which leads you susceptible to misdirection and kind of those pseudo trick plays, not the full blown flea flicker type, but those almost trick plays, which Levy likes to dial those up. Yeah. So if he calls them in the right spot, that could soften up the pass rush a little bit and let you just kind of run your offense as you need to.
For sure. Can Mississippi State pull off the upset? We'll talk about it coming up next.
Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. And I love how Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. And the swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. The personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com.
All right. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right. What's your prediction?
So, thought about this one a lot and calling for the upset.
Okay.
34-27.
Okay. So I was very close on the same score. I gave my prediction, obviously, on the crossover. I've thought about it. I am sticking with it. I am going Texas A&M, but I went 31-27, so almost the same score you had, just flipped with Texas A&M and Mississippi State. I think Texas A&M is pretty good this year, and coming off the emotional loss, I kind of want to see Mississippi State do it again and play against a good team and play well against a good team.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see that performance again before I'm fully into, okay, they're this team. I think they proved a lot of people wrong so far. One thing I did say to Matt on the show yesterday was I could totally see this being that home upset that it seems like A&M has every single year.
Yeah, that's why I'm picking the team. I mentioned it every time we talk about this game and talk about A&M. They throw a stinker at home every year.
Every year.
And I think this might be it. It's just kind of shaping up that way. They had the ugly game last week, and they seem to follow up an ugly game with an even uglier game for a very long time. And then they tend to course correct. And then you're like, oh, this is the team we thought that would have made the playoff. So I don't know. I just have a feeling about this one.
I will say, and I think they're better, and I do love Mike Elko as a coach. I do think they're overrated at number 6.
Oh, yeah.
They struggled against UTSA to start the year. Yes, they beat Notre Dame, and I think Notre Dame's going to be pretty good and probably get back into the college football playoff. But you beat them by 1 on the last second play. Like, again, credit to you. Like, you got the win. Then you go and you struggle against Auburn, but you beat Auburn. But it's not like Auburn's this juggernaut either. Like, it's not like they've just been blowing teams out. Like, again, they allowed 25 or whatever. I think it was 25 to UTSA. They allowed 22 to Utah State. Like, they haven't been this dominant team yet. We haven't seen them play a complete game yet, offense or defensively.
Right. And that's why I think with how Mississippi State runs their offense, with Fluff and Booth able to run the ball, we've seen the A&M defense not be able to stop the run. And we've seen them kind of susceptible to some big plays. And if you can get an aggressive defense leaning one way when you have weapons like Evans and Thompson who can they can score from anywhere, that could be a recipe for a quick 2 touchdowns. And then you can kind of ride your running backs and a screen or a trick play here or there to, just kind of run out the clock and get the win.
And I think Mississippi State should have a big day on the ground again. I think Fluff will have a big game. I think Booth will have a big game. How do they overcome if Reese doesn't play? That's the big question, because if Reese doesn't play, then that's going to affect the run game a lot. We have talked about
play, I might change my score prediction.
Right.
If him and Isaac Smith are out, then all bets are off what can happen.
Well, and we've talked about it. This is not a team that can overcome injuries like that. Like, there are teams out there that are deep enough to do it. And I think Mississippi State one day under Levy will get to that point. They're not at that point yet.
No, maybe in a year or two we'll see them at that point. But I mean, even if you're at that point, overcoming someone like Isaac Smith it's a different animal.
Hard. For sure. All right, well, it's another big moment on Locked On College Football Fans. Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday. Hopefully, we'll get everything figured out so we can start to get back to posting those social media videos. We haven't been able to do that so far this week, but I was told that they are working on it and it should be fixed soon. That will not affect our pregame and postgame videos. We don't use that app for that. We just post it. So you will have that. Also, as long as everything goes to plan, we plan on tweeting drive summaries like we did last game for this game as well. So follow along with that, especially if you're out and about or at work and can't watch the game. Follow us and turn on your alerts, and we'll give you a kind of a recap of each drive. But all right, until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.